Stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. Teach the truth. Teach the truth. When you get the name right, it really helps. Stop the nonsense. When you get the name right, it really helps. Stop the nonsense. Teach the truth. Teach the truth. These are the 10 Commandments. These are the 10 Commandments. These are the 10 Commandments. Stop the nonsense. Teach the truth. Teach the truth. These are the 10 Commandments. These are the 10 Commandments. These are the 10 Commandments. Stop the nonsense. Teach the truth. Teach the truth. Yahusha said, love one another.
Good morning, brother. How you going?
Good afternoon and good morning.
How's it going, mate?
Fine.
Oh, it's lovely to see you.
It's great to see you. It's been 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Wow.
Yeah.
How you going, fellas?
Hey, how are you, Mark?
Yeah, good. Very good. How you guys going?
We're doing great.
We're okay.
We're tired.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of running.
Yep. Wow.
Wow.
It's lovely to see you guys.
Great seeing you too. Are you rested up now, or you said you were tired yesterday?
Yeah. We had Sabbath yesterday, and it's early in the morning today.
Yeah.
And everybody's still asleep.
Really?
It's wonderful.
What time is it there right now? It's 2:15 here in the afternoon.
It's 5:15 in the morning.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
How you managed to get up that early in the morning, it just amazes me.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got to do something. It's such a time delay. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been pretty full on. Just the salon, and we've got about 6 weeks left before the baby's born. And 6 weeks, and so it's full on. Very full.
So it's going to be maybe the middle of the first Roman month.
Yeah,
somewhere.
It'll probably be second or third week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Alea pretty excited about it?
She's very excited. She's we're a bit concerned. She's so excited. We think we might find the baby disappear, and she'll be off somewhere feeding it and looking after it in some room somewhere. She's very maternal.
Is Alea gonna get less attention, you think, and maybe she'll get jealous?
I don't think so. No.
Do we know if it's a boy or a girl?
No, we don't yet. We didn't find out.
How exciting!
Yeah.
That's really fun.
So how you been going, Phyllis, with all the trips and tests and everything? You okay?
The tests. I tell you, it's been an up and down roller coaster world. You know, we were all, just kind of disappointed that the doctor said it couldn't be cured, but now they found out that it's so aggressive that they have chemotherapy that will knock it out. And he's just talking about just 6 treatments and it'll be gone.
This won't be here for very much longer.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some love.
We'll have her wear the Viking helmet.
We've had a couple of clients go through it, and there's some very lovely wigs you can wear.
Yeah.
For
okay.
For a couple of months while it grows back.
Liz going to miss my hair.
Yes. Yeah.
She only does this for me. She doesn't like long hair, but she does it for me.
Oh, it's so much trouble to take care of, but
yeah. Well, that's exciting that you can get rid of it, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It really is, and I don't have to feel bad because I didn't go see the doctor sooner, because he said this could have happened anyway. We could have gone for the radiation, and done that, and then still have to go through this.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a trip, but there's an end, and it's all going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trusting Yahusha.
Yeah, he's going to hold us up.
Yeah.
I'll let you boys talk.
Okay.
Have a nice talk.
Yeah. Have a lovely Sabbath, Phyllis.
Oh, here, little
Is that
Miss
happy?
That's happy.
Happy? Are you okay? She's 8 months old. She doesn't really know what stuff is yet. Not that she ever would, but she's interested in every sound and everything that's there.
Yeah. Is that your last animal now?
It's hard to do. Only animal. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we had so many pets die, in 1 year. We had, a dog and a cat. Actually, 2 cats and a dog. And they were just old,
Yeah.
And it was just horrible. And so they were suffering in, bad health. And so, we lost those 3 animals, and then decided that we weren't going to have any more animals. And then Brenda's sister, not Phyllis's sister, Brenda, she comes along and says, I just had this little kitten come up to me at my door, and I nursed it back to health, and it was just a little kitten. I mean, really little. And its mother had been run over in the road. And so she brought it over here and let us keep it for a week or so. And we said, nope, not giving this one up. We loved it.
Yeah.
We missed having an animal.
Yeah. We don't have any animals right now.
Yeah, you've got enough busy things to do with 5 children and 1 on the way.
Yeah. Most certainly.
Yes.
I received your email yesterday with the new cover.
Huh? The new book?
New book cover. Was there supposed to be a book?
The text didn't make it.
It didn't make it?
No, I sent both. And it bounced back at me because the file was 38 megabytes or something like that.
Okay.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Right.
But I'll send you a disc.
So you finished the book?
Yes. It's finished. And I've already ordered it in small quantities from a printer. And we're going to get those in maybe in about 10 days.
Wow.
And have a very few. And then I'll see if I can find some way early next year to have large quantities printed so that the unit price won't be quite so high.
Yeah.
But it's did you have a picture of it already?
Yeah, I love the picture.
Okay. You got the full cover though.
Yeah.
You can get a partial half front cover, I guess, from my Facebook page, but it's called Strong Delusion: Christianity's Institutionalized Witchcraft. And it's like there's this psychosis. It's a mental disorder. It's a delusion. See, a psychosis is, they say you should consult a doctor if you have a concern. But this kind of thing is witchcraft hiding in front of you is what I'm exposing. It's right in front of you, but you don't see it. And there's witches know, they have ways. And don't think of some person that's flying around on a broomstick when you say witch, because a witch or a warlock can be, a regular person, okay? But a psychosis or a mental illness that is a psychosis is a loss of contact with reality. And it usually includes false beliefs about what is taking place, or one who is deluded, or who is deluded. They don't know who's deluded and who isn't. Seeing or hearing things that aren't really there. Well, that's witchcraft too. I mean, witchcraft likes to cover itself up and pretend that it's one thing, but really it's another. Because see, there's two levels in the occult. There's the exoteric interpretation, which is what people see from the outside, and then there's another layer that is only for the initiated to see or understand. So a person that interprets correctly is a person on the inside, you know. Of course, with Yahusha's mind in us, it isn't that we are interpreting it incorrectly, but he said that whatever was hidden would be manifest and shouted from the rooftops. So we know, and this is one of those cases. This book is a tearing down of a major stronghold. I mean, we've talked about strongholds like being the name. It's false reasonings. The name, some people say, isn't important, and people say that, well, it doesn't matter now because the paganism that it once was is now laid at the feet of Christ and it's been cleansed. Where are you getting that scripture? There is no scripture on that. That's why it's a disorder. It's you can't get fixed by a doctor. You know, you have to be reprogrammed by the great physician. Yahusha will open your eyes to what you're looking at when you look at a Christmas tree or a pumpkin or ornaments or decorations or the very day you're celebrating. Witchcraft can be many different things, symbols, activities, like blowing out the candles on a birthday cake. Okay, where are we going to find that in the scriptures? Let's just turn to that. Let's look it up in the index. Oh, there isn't anything in there about that. Well, that's because it's coming from somewhere else. It's from the old religion, Babylon, you know, the zodiac and the constellations and all that nonsense. It's really something. But anyway, that's a psychosis, you know.
What led you to write this book after Fossilized? Like I saw a Santa Claus on the front cover. So obviously it's, you know, the festivals and things like that, which you've gone into in Fossilized. What are you touching on in this book? Or have you just told me?
I think there's a lot more that I'm touching on in finer detail, and I think I'm taking broader strokes over some of the generalities. I'm actually coming right out and I'm taking off. This is a knockout punch, is what it is. And it's taking the Greek ideas and all the Persian ideas and all the Babylonian ideas, and it's showing them to you, and it's calling them by its Greek name. It's witchcraft, but it's called Christianity. I mean, let's find Christianity in here. Let's see, where do we do? Oh, that's a Greek word, isn't it? Well, there isn't really a Greek idea going on in this book. And yet, translators have forced Greek things into it, but the Greek mindsets and behaviors and ideas and symbols are not in here. The scriptures, they're not there. It doesn't call itself a Bible. That's actually from a pagan Phoenician, or not Phoenician, but because there is no such thing as Phoenician. That's a term invented by Herodotus. Let's just say it was a pagan city where a statue of somebody named Byblia, a female fertility deity, was in there. There was a temple in that city. And they named their scriptures, they put her name on the cover, and they refer to the scriptures. Actually, the scriptures does refer to itself in several places. It calls itself something. Like Daniel, one of my favorite ones, I think it's in chapter 10. He calls this the scripture of truth, which is really just two Hebrew words. It's kathab ameth. Kathab means scripture or handwriting, the writing, kathab, and ameth means truth. So this is the scripture of truth. And Stephen called it the living words. you know.
Mm.
And of course, that would mean the green tree. When people hear the term green tree and dry tree, they're talking about, when they say the green tree, they're talking about some person that is abiding in the living waters. They're like a tree planted by the streams of water, and they're getting nourishment. But a dry tree does not have nourishment, because this is living water. And the code words are not understood. But they've abandoned that. See, Christianity is the name of a form of witchcraft that is actually practicing everything that he said don't do. And they're doing absolutely nothing that he told them to do. And then they're turning around and saying, well, you don't have to do any of that, because that would be works, and that would be legalism. And so in the book, I talk about what legalism is from Yahusha's perspective.
Mm.
And I'm challenging people to think about this carefully. Would any prophet ever speak in Yahusha's name and say, you guys are just too obedient. You're actually trying to obey me. You shouldn't be doing that.
Mm.
Or would Yahusha ever say, depart from me, you workers of legalism, trying to be obedient to my laws, my orders, my directives? Who is it that he's going to say, depart from me, you workers of lawlessness? Anomia, that's what the real Greek word was. But the idea, though, is that they're disobedient. So when you try to obey, then suddenly you're called a legalist. And a legalist is a good name. It's a good term to be called. If you're before the throne of the universe and someone walks up and says, you should pitch this guy in the lake of fire because he was teaching your commandments. And he was trying to obey your commandments. Away with him. We just believe. Well, see, even the demons believe, but they don't obey. They don't walk in the way, And that's the mystery that people don't see. The psychosis is so strong that they listen to the teaching authority of some person. They're really listening to the church fathers, the circus fathers, we should say. And the circus fathers were anti-Semitic, but they were also anti-Torah. They did not want people obeying. And who was it? I think it was Epiphanius, who was quoted, when we were talking about on our Nazarene study, who the Nazarene were. They were considered heretics. Can you imagine that? And we still are. I mean, people look at us and they say, they're so hateful. But we're not condemning people. We're not burning them at the stake. On the other hand, those people that were obeying the commandments were being burned at the stake by those who said, we can't have this works thing. You've got to get there by the sacraments. What? Where are we going to find the sacraments in here? There are no sacraments. That's all nonsense. And that is what this book is really going after without the gloves on. I mean, it's really just coming right at it. And it's not kidding around. There was a close friend here in Louisville. His name is Ben. And he's the most lovely 83-year-old man that you'd ever want to meet. And he said, Lew, I'm not kidding around anymore. And I said, if an 83-year-old man can say something like that, and I know what he's talking about. He's going to people and he's not being angry. This man is so kind. And he tells them, like he's appealing to them, just like an ambassador of Yahusha, saying, I'm pleading with you. You must hear me. This is really serious. It's not something you want to kid around with anymore. But I didn't hold back. I went ahead and just said it. I said, this is witchcraft. And this is witchcraft. And this is witchcraft. One thing after another. Let's see. I've got a list here. Actually, let me read the introduction. Whoops. Hey. the table of contents. I've got an introduction, of course, but I don't know if you want to hear that. But the introduction talks about what is witchcraft. And then the next item of interest is the teaching authority concept, the citadels of power who hold control over minds. And actually what they're really doing is they're teaching errors, and they're leading people by the millions, and they're controlling them from citadels of power where they have lots of authority, and they call them credentials. I'm credentialed because I've been ordained. Well, who is it that ordains? The only real person that can ordain us is Yahusha. And they don't even use his real name. So there's an identity theft going on right at the outset. But and then there's, I go into a topic called spiritual middens. Middens is a M-I-D-D-E-N-S. And midden is a very interesting concept. It is known by witches, but Christians don't know what this is normally. A midden can be a disguised vessel in plain sight. I mean, it's right there in plain sight. It could be behavior, but it could be an object that contains a force, or really a demon, inside of it. Christians are sometimes thinking certain objects, because of what they look like, are obviously demonic. And that's the trick. Because see, if a person looks at a stack of skulls, like an incense burner, they think that's evil. But that's the trick. That's not evil. Who invented the skull? Who created the skull? Skulls are not evil, but you're not supposed to go near a real one if it's got no skin on it. It's dead. You have to stay away from dead bodies. But if you're studying medicine, you have to go through training, and they have dead bodies, real ones, that they operate on to teach these doctors, which I wouldn't do. I mean, I wanted to become a doctor, but I saw all the things you had to go through, and I said, that's not for me. And a lot of uncleanness, But anyway, a midden is a type of, well, it's like another word. It's the word, the Latin word for witch, mascot, can be a midden, and a midden can be a mascot. A mascot is usually thought of associated with sports, and they've got some kind of an animal costume, like it looks like Halloween, and they're running up and down the field with their team mascot. Well, they're saying team witch. It's their good luck charm. It's something that is empowered, or a belief in something that empowers them to win. It's witchcraft. That's witchcraft. And literally, the word mascot means witch. And a midden is a possessed item, something that demonically possessed, possibly. Or it can be something that's disguised in plain sight. That's one of the things that witches already know. But when we've got Christian practices, and we put things around, and we do things, or we think certain beliefs, we're actually mentally ill when we believe certain things that are taught. The Christmas tree is an obvious midden, but it's also a mascot. It's a witch itself, but it's also an object that's venerated. Obviously it is, and the sexual fertility symbols that are all over it. The thing itself is a fertility symbol, and the objects on it are fertility. The wreath is a fertility symbol, and they even had that from the Persians and the Hindus. I've got pictures of Hindu wreaths in the book. And then the next item that I take up is toasting with a drink. People say they knock their glass with their spoon, and they say, "I'd like to raise a toast to such and such." Well, raising a toast was actually in Scripture. Do you remember where that was?
No.
It was Daniel. Near the end of the book of Daniel, someone is raising a toast. And they're using the set-apart items from the temple that Nebuchadnezzar had taken. And anyway, his son is raising a toast. He's got like 1,000 guests. And they're raising a toast to the God, or the deity of wood and silver and gold. And that is witchcraft. That's what it is. In fact, even if you look up the custom of toasting, it will tell you that it's a drink offering to a deity. It is thought to endow a blessing using wine, typically, or anything else. But toasting with a drink is witchcraft. And then the word church itself, and how it became, actually since the King James Version, it became known as a building, or the assembly itself, or the hierarchy. But in reality, that's not a good thing to call it. And the real name of this word comes from, well, Kirke or Circe. And not many people probably do know this, but that's the name of a Greek sorceress, a witch. I mean, sorceresses are witches. They do things that witches do. What was it that our man said in the movie? Witches are as witches do. No, that wasn't what he said. But stupid is as stupid does. And then there's the word that I think is one of your favorite new words, and it's not this word, lexomorphosis. Lexomorphosis, what? That's a letter-changing disorder. Oh, that letter is this letter. No, it isn't. But anyway, I think you'd enjoy this. It's the topic is mystagogues. Remember mystagogues?
Yeah.
Well, mystagogues, they're real. And they still are here. They just don't call them that anymore. They call them pastors, nuns, priests, popes. That's really, it's a teaching authority is what it is. And it's where people go to get more information. And people go to their steeple every Sunday to try to find out something about what this stuff means. What is it saying? And they can't get it. What is it saying to me? And they go to this guy and they go, oh, he's the pastor. He knows. He's been ordained. He knows this stuff. And then they go and they listen to this stuff, and then, okay, you're going to have to learn this. Abraham gave something. You need to give something too. What? What do you mean? Abraham was going to sacrifice his son. Well, what are you saying? Does that mean I'm going to have to give you money? Oh, yeah. Well, you know what that is? That's casuistry and equivocation. See, what is case? I talk about that too. Casuistry is taking a case study, and looking at it and analyzing it, focusing on it, and then trying to make it equivocate to apply to some other case that has no relationship. There's no relationship between Abraham obeying Yahuwah and being tested and someone sitting in a pew and digging into their wallet. There's nothing there, but they equivocate it and they make it sound, hey, that sounds reasonable. But this is the mental disorder. This is a psychosis. This is taking people's minds and bending them into a distorted form so that they are doing things that they should not do. And witchcraft is the result, because I don't know how I can explain it any better, but if you read the book, you'll probably see a theme, and you'll pick up on it and go, no, this can't be good. That's not good either. Because once you've taken the crust off of it, and you see what is really behind it, you understand the behavior is an abomination. Then I go into the Ten Commandments, and then I discuss the sacraments, and they're really helping you out, aren't they? And Christmas, I just tell them right out, this is a satanic practice. It's associated with sun worship and the birthday of the sun, with the winter solstice. Then I talk about the United Nations a little bit and how the Jesuit Illuminati is actually operating in the world's soon most powerful entity. Talk about the Sabbath question, how people are, their beliefs, or they're in a psychosis, they have a mental disorder, so they've been programmed to think that the Sabbath, if you walk up to a Christian and say, what is the Sabbath? And then they just explain Sunday to you. What day is the Sabbath? Oh yeah, that's Sunday, sure. I was in that mind thing. It's a disorder. It's a psychosis. Then I talk about the witchcraft of the tree and what it was originally long ago, and syncretism, which is, taking dissimilar beliefs, something that two different things, or more than two, and mixing them together and making them all basically the same. Syncretism is a new article where you're making stuff mean other stuff, basically. That's my simple definition. And then legalism, I talk about that right out in the open, and challenge people and say, well, would you have any problem obeying this commandment? Oh, I don't know. That'd be legalism if I did that. What's the problem with legalism? What's the problem with obeying? Where is the scripture that says that a prophet speaking in the name of Yahuwah ever said, you've got to stop this nonsense. You've got to hold back. You're trying too hard. You're obeying everything I'm telling you. I don't like that. Why are you doing that? That's what I've got against you. No, if you read the first few pages of Revelation, he says, I've got some things against you. And it's not legalism. It's illegalism. It's disobedience. You're not listening to me. It's always been our problem. That's why the people, they go to their steeple every Sunday and they're trying to figure out, what's this thing trying to tell me? It's trying to tell you to obey. And it's not hard. He says it's not hard. Where is that? I've got a list of the instruction right here. Look at this. The Torah of Yahuwah, the instruction of Yahuwah. And it says it's a covenant of kindness. And it teaches us how to love. The first one is, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Have no other before my face. If you try to obey that, are you a legalist? The second one is, you do not bow to images. That means anything in the zodiac or anything up there or anything on earth or under the earth. And you don't do them. You don't bow down to them. You don't think about them. You don't even think they exist. They don't. I mean, the lights do, but they're not anything. They're not really there. They're not animals. That's where the word zodiac is associated with the word zoo. And the third one is, you do not cast the name of Yahuwah, your Elohim, to ruin. You just don't misuse his name. And you certainly wouldn't forget to use his name. Because if you don't use his name, then you've laid waste his name. Remember the Shabbat, to keep it Kodesh. That means that you rest. Exodus or Shemot 16 says, let no man go out of his place on the Sabbath. Why? Because you are to rest as I rested. That's what Yahuwah was saying in Hebrews 4. And he's talking about the seventh day, not the first day. And then the fifth one starts teaching us how to love one another. Love me and love one another. Love one another as I have loved you. This is it. Respect your father and your mother. That's number 5. You do not murder. You do not break wedlock. You do not steal. You do not bear false witness against your neighbor. And you do not covet your neighbor's wife, house, field, servants, animals, or anything belonging to your neighbor. And this is the covenant. Every one of these is good. To think that they don't exist anymore, every one of these things has got a death penalty behind it. If you fail in one, then you failed them all. But they throw them aside. Because the circus fathers, basically didn't want to obey anything about that. They wanted people to come to the assemblies once every week and receive the sacrament of the Mass. What? And then, of course, that's when they took their money from them as well. But they didn't forget the tithing thing. The tithing thing isn't even in here. It's not on this list. But that's one that they definitely are strong about. And then I talk about doctrines of demons, other ones, people propping people up. There's this one picture I put in there who's a dead Roman priest. He's laying in a glass casket underneath an indoor altar where they sacrifice a bloodless sacrifice. And they have a feast day for him personally. And he's on display with lights. This dead guy is in there. He's been dead for over 150 years. And he's under the altar in lights. There's this dead guy. You're literally looking at some grown men officiating in some nonsense with smoke and declaring pieces of bread to be changed into the form of Yahusha himself because they said, hoc est corpus meum, hocus pocus. And the guys, they're doing this over some guy's open grave. Okay? Is that witchcraft? Oh, yeah. It's witchcraft. What? And then we've got the image of the beast. I'll talk about that. And the crux and where that came from. The cross symbol is a solar symbol from every religion on the planet in antiquity. And then I talk about identity movements and EASTER, the Queen of Heaven. And I show them the circus timeline. The Roman circus has a timeline of dogmas that would come out. It was all nonsense. There's not one single thing in this whole list of dogmas that's real. It's all just basically control mechanisms that they just made up. It's incredible. But it takes, I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about teachings. And it's just this witchcraft is just taking over the whole earth. Of course, you're awake, you know this. I think the book needed to be written because it's a lot more powerful than, it's only 112 pages, but it's a lot more powerful than Fossilized Customs. Because it's showing you, and it's telling you that this is witchcraft, one thing after the other. And if it isn't, what is it? Is Christmas mentioned in the scriptures? Is Santa Claus in there? Who is Santa Claus? You know who he is. It's this deity of the Moabites, M-O-L-O-K. They call it M-O-L-O-C-H. But it had to do with child sacrifice. And of course, that isn't good. It's all basically pagan. And then the fertility symbol of EASTER, which is the impregnation of Mother Earth. That's what it really is. And her name is EASTER. She's called the Great Mother. She's called the Mother of Harlots in Revelation 17. And I bring all this stuff out. It's just right there. It's straight out of Scripture. When a Christian reads Scripture, they have a way of, because of the strong delusion they're under, they don't think that it's talking about them. It's talking about someone else. And that's the trick. It's like, hello, you're married to a witch. Don't you know? That's what Eliyahu, they call him Elijah. Elijah was basically going around talking to people and saying, you're doing the wrong things. You're doing all this stuff that has to do with Satanism. This stuff that you're doing is worshiping the sun. Don't do that. And this fertility stuff, he knew. And he told the northern tribe's king, Ahab. Ahab was the uh, the son of, okay, can't remember his name. Anyway, he's got like 4 letters in his name. And he said that you're married to a witch. What? Married to a witch? You mean Izebel or whatever her name was? Which I'm glad that you didn't name your daughter. That. Well, you probably didn't know it. But when I first heard your thoughts about what you were going to name Aaliyah, I thought, oh no. You could see you were actually saying, I think we're going to name her this. And I said, what? And my mind was doing flips, And I said, how am I going to tell her? And then when I told you, you said, oh, okay, we're not doing that,
That's right. Well, we were gonna call her Isabel, weren't we?
Yeah.
The witch. Aaliyah's much nicer.
Oh, I totally agree.
Mm.
Yeah, so they're in a psychosis, basically. Boy, and now we have to find out.
It's kind of worse than being the enemy, isn't it? It's like masquerading as the good guys. Like the kids say to me, "Oh, who's the bad guys and who's the good guys, and who's the goodies and who's the baddies?" Kids want to know which side. And sometimes there isn't goodies and baddies in a movie, but it's like worse than being the enemy or following the enemy. You're declaring that you are the good guys. You're declaring that you are messengers of light. You're declaring that you are the bride, that you are his people, and you're not. You're leading a lot. It's like you said, identity theft.
Oh, I found out the guy's name. I wanted to tell you about the guy that was married to the witch. His name was Ahab. Now, you know what Ahab means, right? It means love. That's the guy's name. My name's Love. Well, Ahab was married to this witch in northern Israel. And his father's name was Omri. And, boy, he did a lot of building up there. But anyway, it's exactly what you said, though. They're in a psychosis where they have false beliefs about what's taking place, or who something is, or what something represents. So it's a psychosis, and it's actually something that they grow up with in the culture itself, and then they're reinforced from the religious sector too. The pastors are saying, "Here's our annual thing. Let's get those lilies out. It's almost time for the impregnation of the Earth Mother, and we're going to call it the Resurrection Day." So they got bunny rabbits, eggs, lilies, the symbol of the Earth Mother, and then you've got all this stuff mixed up in one giant witchy thing. And then, what are you doing mixing this stuff together? Well, that's what it is. See, syncretism. That's what it is. In fact, lexomorphosis is a type of syncretism. It's the changing of letters. This letter, it doesn't mean that, but let me show you this other letter that I just made up, or someone else made up, and now we're using that. Well, why don't we go back to the original? Well, in the case of syncretism, what we're doing is we're going back and showing them what the thing was originally, and then they're going to go, well, that doesn't mean that to me. No, it doesn't. That's why we're telling you. And Ahab, married to this witch, Elijah, or Eliyahu, is coming to him and saying, "You're married to a witch." And he's going, well, it doesn't mean that to me. What she's doing, the Baal prophets and the Asherim prophets, I think there were 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of his consort, Asherim. And they were doing all this Christmas tree stuff and, Pride Christmas, Halloween. Certainly they would do the EASTER thing with the baskets and the eggs. And Goliath, or Goliath, he was a Philistine. There's no way that he would have ever missed the bunny rabbit thing and the fertility festival of the impregnation of the Earth Mother. You know, that they actually transformed into, you know, and it's like they're having a hallucination when they go to their Sunday steeple. They're hallucinating and pretending that this is all fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about that steeple. That's a good thing. It points to heaven. And that crux up there on top of it, that's all part of the game too. But they don't know this because they've been programmed to think, oh, that's the instrument that Yahusha was on. Well, not really. He was put up in a tree. He carried a piece of wood, yes, but all this other stuff got invented later. It's a loss of contact with reality. That's a psychosis. It's an impairment, and it's induced into their psyche, and their inner lamp, their heart, is just going right after it. And they go right after the weirdest things first. I mean, the truth comes along and they go, oh, that can't possibly be. That Christmas tree isn't what you said it is. Well, what is it? I don't know. It's just something we do. Are you really serious? You're going to do this and you really don't know what it is? You know? Isn't that dangerous? Isn't that witchcraft? I mean, to think that a Christmas tree could be called witchcraft is just, it sounds ridiculous at first, until you start doing some study and you say, wait a minute, this is real. This really is witchcraft. I mean, a lot of Christians know that Halloween is witchcraft. I mean, there's all the symbolism and everything is about the dead, and it's all got, well, the zombie thing is really taken off. The zombie thing is good all days of the year, isn't it? But it's got a special day, though, Halloween. But I'll tell you what, it's a terrible responsibility. I mean, I feel like I've been goofing around and not really getting serious about this, but we really do. And we don't need to get angry. We just need to say, let's get more people to know this, because it's not funny. You know, this stuff, there's too many people that are lost and they think they're not, you know?
Yeah. I think the unclean spirits are coming at Yahusha's people in the same way that he's coming at the world through all the spiritual middens. I like the word middens. I didn't know what that word was. I saw it on the cover of the book and I was going to ask you, but you explained it, what a midden is. And you said it's either an object that's hiding something, that people think is hiding something, or it's a behavior. I don't think Anatsrim are facing that it can be a behavior as well. I think we can be 5, 10, 20 years in the truth and we can possibly start to burn out a bit. We can, because we're not, everything you've said about all these principles, that being in a strong delusion, not having a grip on reality, not thinking the right way. I think unclean spirits are coming at, Satan's attacking Yahusha's bride in a big way, because just because you're in the truth, and people might be watching this show going, oh, well, I left Christmas years ago, so this doesn't relate to me. I left, EASTER years ago. I don't do Halloween, so that's great. I feel good about myself. But are you in reality? Are we loving one another? Are we treating our wives the way we should be treating them, our husbands, our children? Do we have a firm grasp on what's happening in our life through Yahusha's eyes, or are we in a delusion? Over the years, my wife said to me, you should go and get diagnosed with depression. You've got depression or something like that. She said that to me because of the way I think. So I'm bringing it a little bit closer to home, and I'm listening to everything you're saying, not through the eyes of Christmas and the festivals, which is the point of the book, but I'm looking at it that Satan is still doing the same thing in his people. He's just coming at it a different way. he's looking at them and he's whispering in their ears, and he'll say to them, particularly if you've been a Nazarene for a long time, you start getting a little bit lukewarm. You get sick of saying the same old thing. That's why I admire you, mate, for being in there saying, just keeping going at it. So many people just fall away and go, oh yeah, it's because it's a mental thing. They say, I've dealt with that. I've told so many people about Christmas, and who's interested? I've done this for so long. If you're in the same occupation for long enough, people say you burn out. If you're in the natural movement long enough, you start to go, oh, who's interested? And you start to sort of get really apathetic about it, and you just go, well, I'm in it. That's great. I believe it. But that's not what we're called to do. We're called to, be hot or cold. And so Yahusha's been showing me a lot lately about the way I think about my life. Am I looking at it through the eyes of a delusion, through the eyes of a lie, which, from what you're saying, is witchcraft? If you don't have the right take on, if you're not thinking and obeying Torah, you're following witchcraft, aren't you? It's a behaviour as well as a practice. So I'm just really excited about this. I think don't sit back watching this show thinking, Christmas, that doesn't relate to me. I haven't done that for 10 years. Because if you are not looking at your life, like if things happen in your life and you look at it negatively, oh, here we go again. Oh, everything's got a negative. That's what I used to be like. Oh, what's the point? It'll all end up bad anyway. It's something. Every time we're happy and something's going well. Oh, just wait. It's coming. There'll be a fall. Something's going to come, and we think it's a bad thing. But Yahusha's in there mixing up our day, going, I'm trying to get your attention here, and you're thinking it's something else that it's not. It's like we're caught up in witchcraft because we want our way. We want our life to ourselves, our mind to ourselves. And I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but Yahusha's showing me that this is very close to home. It's the way you think. It's the way you behave. And from what you're saying today, it's really serious because people are so deluded. I've got people around me and yourself who keep constantly putting me in touch with reality, and nobody wants to look at nobody wants to look at their reality. Nobody wants to look around their house, around their life, around their job, and say, "Am I happy with this? Is this what's meant to be? Is this how it's? What am I going to do about it?" We'd rather just, we don't have the right thinking. Evil spirits are in there mixing it up and attacking Yahusha's bride, and we don't even realize it. If we're not loving and we're not waking up and we're happy and we have joy, we have the fruit of the Spirit in our day, then what are we behaving? What are we showing people? And what are we following? We could be watching this show going, oh, great, yeah, I agree with everything Lew's saying. Yeah, check, fantastic. But our behaviour, and then we walk away because it's all a mental thing. Our behaviour is totally off base. So I want to say to all the Nazarene who got it together, what Lew is saying is about you could be a Nazarene for 20, 30, 40 years and still not have the point or the end goal, which is love. Don't think because I haven't done Christmas for 20 years, I'm cool. How are you treating your wife? How are you treating your children? If you're in the workplace, how do you treat your employees, or how do you treat the boss? Is Yahusha working in your day? Sorry to be so heavy. That's what Yahusha's showing me lately. Don't burn out. Don't fall. That's what he's saying in Revelation. You're either hot or cold. Don't start getting cold. Like you hear so much, you're Nazarene for so long, and you hear all these things, and that's a great article, Lew. Yeah, wonderful. I agree. But did it really touch your heart? Did it really change something? Or is it just sound bites? Sound bites are great if they're the truth, but is it affecting your behaviour? Is affecting the way you live? Do you have hope for your future, your hope for your life? Do you make plans? You know, I used to be in the state where I'd say, I'm not going to make any plans for my life. Who am I? Who am I going to, you know, Yahusha's, you know, but we're meant to make plans and offer them up to Yahusha and say, I've got a family I want to achieve in my life. I want to do this. I want to do that. Is this what your plan is, Father, for my life? And research things and have goals, and we're allowed to have dreams and things, and some of them don't come to pass. And in our life, in our achieving, in our, you know, day to day, Yahusha moves and touches people's lives and our hearts from what we say and what we're going through. So I just think this is amazing what you're saying today. I've just been hearing different things while you've been talking because of what I've been going through the last few weeks. We don't have to be downtrodden, and you know, you look at the state of the Nazarene community and you just think, you know, who's interested? And the people who are interested are the same people who have been interested for a long time. Where's the movement? Who's interested? What are you doing, Father? You know what? And we get impatient, but you're just still in there writing books, going forward, listening to Yahusha, and I admire that because you haven't.
Well, I'm pursuing them because we're emissaries or ambassadors, pleading with people to be restored to Yahuwah.
Yeah.
And the only restoration is by, you know, the covenant. But, you know, what we're really becoming is we're becoming vessels for Yahusha to inhabit us even more every day, so that he's the greatest servant. He's the servant king. He said, I did not come to be served, but to serve. And when he's still serving in us, because when people say, Israel is the servant, no, it's Yahusha is the head of the servant. Israel includes the head. So you've got Yahusha, Israel, that's his arms and legs and body parts, and he's able to function in the world as an organism that's not organized in like an institution or an authority, a teaching authority, but it's a spiritual teaching authority, and he's able to operate through us and his body as Nazarene. And he's going to do that in a really great way during the tribulation period, I'm sure. When it really, really gets serious, everybody's going to know something's really coming down. And when he fully inhabits us, we're going to be shining light. I mean, we're going to be more than just metaphoric light or allegorical light. People are going to say, what? Yeah, I'm going to be listening to you because you're one of them, and I'm going to try to listen so that I'm not, you know, taken out as a weed. But we're trying to tell people right now that there's wheat and there's weeds. And the weeds are really strangling out the wheat. They're blocking the light, you know. They're trying to starve the wheat and say, no, you don't have the teaching authority. No, we're a small, weak little flock. We're not strong and powerful. And if we were, we certainly wouldn't be attacking and persecuting and killing people. That's the bad tree, the tree that isn't alive. The good tree and the bad tree. It's like a green tree and a dry tree. The green tree has Yahusha's spirit in them. The living waters are flowing through them, and they're teaching them how to love. The dry tree is not attached to the root. It's just got its own little business going, and it's not talking about Yahusha coming back at all. It's just like the parables of all the examples Yahusha gave. There was an owner of a vineyard, and he hired it out to these guys to take care of it, and then he sent his servants to collect some of the fruit from the vineyard, and they killed him. What? Those are the prophets. You know, give me some of this fruit. Well, what? You're not going to get any of this. This is ours. And they kept it for themselves. Well, that's what the organism does. So we can identify it as the witchcraft that it teaches. And the dry tree doesn't teach the living waters. It doesn't teach the Torah. If you don't have the Torah, then what does Yeshayahu 8:20 say? To the Torah and to the witness, if they did not speak according to this word, it is because they have no daybreak. And Proverbs talks about it too. And Psalm 119 talks about it. You know, they don't have it because they won't listen. And even their prayer is an abomination. He who turns his ear, what is it, Proverbs 28? He who turns his ear away from hearing the Torah, even his prayer is an abomination. Because what are you doing praying to me when you won't even obey me? Oh, I didn't want to be legalistic. Well, see, this is all programming. It's a mental disorder.
Yep.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the objective, though, is love. That's the goal. But how do you love someone? You love them by serving them. That's what Yahusha is showing us. You lead by example. And the one that created the heavens and the earth is the servant. He's showing us what he's like. And the one that becomes like that is a servant. And that's what love is. Ahab, he had a funny name, didn't he? The son of Omri. Well, the word means love, but in the Hebrew, it means to serve helpfully. It's to be helpful, to give assistance to someone, and not expect anything back. That's what 1 Corinthians 13 is talking about. What is love? You know, it doesn't hold a record of wrongs. It doesn't seek its own. It's not trying to get anything for something it's doing. It doesn't want anything back. It just gives and gives, and it just pours it out. That's why the Dead Sea is dead, because it doesn't let any of its water out. The water comes in and it doesn't leave. It just sits there, it dries up, and it's called the Dead Sea. You are living when the water that you have flows out of you. You're a vessel. You're supposed to be pouring it out. And he pours it in, you pour it out. He pours more in, you pour it out. And it just keeps flowing, you know, like that. And a servant does that because we're just vessels. We're not anybody. We're just vessels that hold the water, and we help people. You know, here you are. This is how you act. You become a servant. And that's why I just stumbled on that seminar that I did a couple of years ago called The Servant. And I revisited it a little bit, shared it on Facebook. But the messages all come from Scripture. And it teaches us how to behave as servants. And I just think it's a powerful thing. When you become a servant, then you're becoming like Yahusha. You know, you don't think, I'm not happy because of this or that. But the more you serve, the more happiness and joy that you see in those around you. And the people around you are what kind of have a big impact on the way you feel, your mood, your attitude in life. And I know that there's some people that need medication. I know that. And it kind of, the medication now that they have is not as bad as it used to be, but it's targeting certain kinds of things that release the person themselves, and they can say, I was in a prison, but now I'm myself. You're actually able to be yourself. Where before, when you're in a depressed mood, sometimes you need this medication. There are people that do. And there's 2 or 3 different medications out there that doctors, just regular doctors, know about because they're so well known by them. I don't know what they are, but they can prescribe something for somebody that really needs that sort of help. But I think it would be good to know, first and foremost, though, that our objective is love, and love is not just a feeling. The Greek mindset, it's being available for somebody and being helpful to them. Being able to help them is a gift too, because Yahusha gives that as a gift, the gift of helps. You know, and I think that's the gift of love is what it really is. Some people are gifted; they're not gifted financially, but they're gifted with their ability to help. And I know several people that are like that. You're one of them. And I know I have a relative that's, I mean, all you think about is that person just goes around helping people. And that's what they do. It's who they are, you know. And this is a gift. And it's a gift to the body of Yahusha. But you learn a lot from the head, Yahusha. He's the guide. Boy, he's a living example, too.
Yeah.
He said that the greater love than this, no man ever has, than to lay down his life for his friends.
Yeah.
And he called us friends. To be friends with him, you know. I mean, we have to talk to him. I don't talk to him as nearly as much as I like to. In fact, sometimes hours will go by, and I'll find a quiet moment. Maybe I'll be washing my hands or doing something because I'm a germaphobe. And I'll stop and I'll go, I haven't talked to you. I haven't said anything to you for hours. You know, what kind of friend am I? He's the friend. I'm just a, you know, mindless, forgetful, ungrateful friend. Just, I mean, that's the way I see myself. I just want to crawl up in a corner and hide because I feel so despicable. But when you reconnect through prayer, see, we're supposed to be in connection constantly. You know, no break. But I mean, you know, I think that he really appreciates thankfulness too. Remember when those 10 lepers came by, and he said, "Go show yourself to the priests," and then while they were walking away, they were healed, and they went, "Wow!" And then one of them goes, "Oh, wow! I'm going to go back and thank him." And then he went back and thanked him. Yahusha says, "Where are the other 9?" See, he likes thankfulness. I see that in operation all the time. And there's so many things that we forget to thank him for, and things that he does, and we just have to thank him for things we forgot to thank him for. That's what I tell Phyllis all the time. There's so much that he does for us, you know.
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing, mate. I think what I was just trying to say is that our behaviour can be witchcraft as well. If we're in unbelief or we're in disobedience, doesn't it say somewhere disobedience is as witchcraft?
Well, rebellion is as witchcraft.
Yeah. So it's really amazing what you've been saying today. And I think what I'm just saying is that even veteran Natron can be in a strong delusion if we're not careful. We always have to be comparing to the truth, listening to Yahusha. Like you said, constant communication. If you've got his mind, or if you're listening to other thoughts, check your thoughts, arrest your thoughts.
Hold every thought captive. Not captive for yourself, but captive by the mind of Yahusha that dwells in you. Sometimes my thoughts will drift into some worldly place, and I go, what? And I keep looking at Yahusha. You know, focus on him and go, Yahusha, there's something going on here. You know, you know, the flesh is always tugging. You know, it's going, hey, you know, let's think about this. Do you remember when you used to be like that? That's a dead person. That guy died. You know, so keep focused. Hold every thought captive to Yahusha. So he's controlling it. And then he's got the control too. I mean, he's not going to go, oh, I don't know, that's a little bit tough. You're really strongly connected to that memory. Oh, well, no, you're not either. Because he purifies our minds, continually washes them with the word. And it's like when I read the Psalms, I think, wow, man, it's like I'm taking a shower. I'm taking a bath in pure water. And it's like I feel the cleanliness of these words. They just wash you, you know. And you read the first Psalm and you say, what? it's just wonderful. A person meditating on the instructions is like a tree planted by the waters, and it's just so it has such reality to it. Um, but the mental disorder that people are involved in, the psychosis that they're subjected to over and over and over, it's like being inoculated against the Torah. Don't do that. Do this. Do what? Well, pay me money, and I'm going to tell you a little story. And then suddenly you walk out and you go, oh, I feel good. But then again, I feel kind of sick. But, it's just there's a mental mind game going on. And it's being pulled off right in front of us, to disobey. I'm listening to these preachers on the radio just to see if any of them have any glimmer of light. And they're dancing all around it, but then they never actually say, well, sometimes they will say, obedience is a good thing. But then it depends on what kind of obedience they're talking about. Obeying the written word or the human traditions. And the human traditions are what they're really meaning. That's what they're saying. Whether it's sacraments or tithing or Sunday. Sunday? How do you do that? There was one fellow on the radio this morning talking about Abraham and his son, and he said that in the same way, when you come here to worship, you should be giving something too, because Abraham used the first time the word worship was used in the scriptures. It was when Abraham was talking to his servants and said, you remain here, and my son and I are going to go off and worship. Well, what he was saying was the word abad. The word abad, we translate worship. Worship means to obey. And what is it that we do when we obey? We become a servant. It's because he's doing something that someone else told him to do. Someone else happened to be the creator of heaven and earth. And I would rather have that being, that creator of heaven and earth, accuse me of obeying his commandments and teaching other people his commandments. Because a servant of Yahuwah will do that. A servant of Yahuwah would never say, you can't obey that law. You can't obey. That's impossible. Is it? Where's that scripture exactly? Where is that? Can you give me scripture on that? Be a Berean. Check everything. And then decide whether or not that's a witch or that's a servant of Yahuwah. You know that a person that teaches the commandments and practices the commandments is not a witch. There's no witch there, or a warlock, or whatever you want to call it. Are the commandments witchcraft? No. That's what they think it is. They might as well be, the way they talk about it. Oh, no, you don't want that. That's for them. Who? That was for another time. See, that's what replacement theology and supersessionism does. People need to look those things up and find out what I'm saying. But, he hasn't replaced his people. We have to engraft into the same vine, the same fig tree, Anyway, bear fruit, That's all we have to do. But he's the one that enables that. Of course, we can't say, I'm going to bear fruit. You can't do anything without him. He is the one that bears fruit through you, so your behavior is the result of being attached to the root. A dry tree can't produce good fruit. It's dead. Yeah. It's not connected to the root. All it can produce is stuff that's going to get burned up at the end. That's why he said, many will come to me in that day and say, Master, didn't we do this? And didn't we do that? And he's going to say, forget that. That stuff got burned up. That's the stuff you all invented. What's this Christmas thing? What's this EASTER deal? The Earth Mother? What? And, it's like, it's just nothing. It burned up and away with you. you who practice lawlessness. Oh boy. And I mentioned that at the very end of the book, in the summary. I'm going, hello, it's talking about you. Wake up. Get out of your delusion, snap out of your dream, and come back to reality and say, you know what? The Ten Commandments are really simple. And they're really good. And there's nothing that you're not going to get harmed by them. So why not try them? If you taste the goodness of Yahusha by sharing your mind and making your vessel available for his use, there's nothing that's going to happen to you that's bad except the demonic attacks, and the people that are hateful. But we're not hateful. We're not judging anybody. He's the judge. The Torah will judge the people in the last day. And it doesn't say that we're going to be in trouble because we obeyed. No. I mean, hey, what are you doing keeping the correct Sabbath? Don't you know that that's Judaizing? Well, see, that's some of that witchcraft that they just invented. See, Judaizing is a word that they just didn't create. They created it. It doesn't have any relevance. Judaizing originally was something that came out of the Council of Laodicea in around 365. And they said that anybody that keeps the Sabbath is anathema. And they just acknowledged the Sabbath. They said, well, I just said the word Sabbath. But rather, you should rest on Sunday as Christians, as people who practice witchcraft, because that's rebellion. This is where the rebellion is. And it's really funny. There's a scripture that says, this is the way, walk in it. Well, this is the witchcraft, walk in it. I'm not walking in witchcraft. As for me and my house, we will serve Yahuwah, not the witchcraft. So just keep that away from me. That's what people are deluded with, though, their psychosis. It's a mental disorder that's programmed into the people from childhood.
Yes.
But how do you wake them up? How do you wake them up? Snap out of it. Oh, Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. No, it isn't. I don't go for the Halloween thing. I had people, I was having some of these articles printed up about Halloween. And the woman who was printing it handed a box to me, and I said, have you read any of this? And she said, oh, Halloween? And she just bubbled up. She said, that's my most favorite holiday. I just love Halloween. Yeah. And she's got a little daughter that's just a few years old. But we're not judging her. We're just saying, that's the kind of mental disorder that we're talking about. It's a psychosis. It's where they have a belief, but let's see if I can find that. It's should be right. Yeah, here. Psychosis. A psychosis is a loss of contact with reality that usually includes false beliefs about what is taking place.
Exactly.
I mean, you're having a hallucination.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah.
You're hallucinating in a mindless, non-real area of reality. It's not really reality at all. It's fantasy. It's delusion. That's why the book's called
Strong Delusion.
Strong Delusion. And it is strong. That's the thing. You need to consult a doctor. No, I mean not a medical doctor. You need to consult. You know what the word doctor means?
No.
It's Latin. It means teacher. You need to go to a teacher, a teaching authority that is of the truth. Because who is the teaching authority of the truth? Yahusha. Yahusha is the only teaching authority. If you go to Lew White or Mark Davidson or any of the other people that are out here, that's not your teaching authority. Your teaching authority is Yahusha. He is the one that guides you into all truth. And if you can get a hold of some teacher that is connected to that teaching authority, then you're going to be a little bit better off. But don't look at the man or the woman, but look at the person that's behind them that's saying the truth. You know, that's Yahusha. If Yahusha is not speaking through our vessel, then we're pretty useless vessels. We're not. Who's speaking? Is it us? You know, the things that you say, the things that I say, that's nothing. But what he says through his vessels, you know, prophecy is not just predicting the future. But prophecy is the testimony of Yahusha. In other words, the very living speech of him speaking right through you. And you're just standing back and going, I don't have to worry about what I want to say at all. You just wait for him. And then he goes, I think I need to say this. And you just start talking. You do it all the time, I'm sure. Many other people watching this do. But we have to realize that prophecy is, foundationally, it's the testimony of Yahusha. He speaks through us, you know, because he's alive. We won't be alive if he doesn't come back for very long. I mean, we're just, you know, basically fading away. But we have other teachers we have to teach. Everything that we're learning is for our preparation to teach someone else that what we learned. You know? I mean, it's not for us to keep. We're not the Dead Sea. The water flows in. Being the living water, the truth comes in, and then it flows out. And we don't know why. We just water. We're watering people, and somebody that really needs to know is going to be hearing it. And then they'll turn into another reservoir of the truth, and then the water will flow through them. See, it's about teachers, teaching teachers, teaching teachers. But the only real teacher is Yahusha, teaching authority himself. But, you know, the thing of it is, a lot of these denominations that we all perceive in Christianity, they're all competing teaching authorities. That's really what their whole operation is about. It's, of course, they'll say all these other incredibly beautiful things, but then at the core of it, though, is they want to be the only teaching authority. And the big one, the magisterium, the Roman magisterium, Catholicism, they want to be the teaching authority with the power they had before. The dragon gave them. The dragon gives the power to the beast. And the beast is a very, very scary thing when it gets a lot of power and authority. But it's a teaching authority that is tyrannical. It's tyrannical to the point where it would openly kill people by the thousands just because they were competing with it, you know. But here in the end times, Yahusha's Nazarene are rising up on the hills of Ephraim, and we're letting we're on the rooftops, so to speak, and we're telling everybody the truth for a while. It's like, I don't know, you know, the witnesses are popping up, and they're all over, but they're just saying the truth. And then at some point, we're going to be shut down, you know. I don't know how we can, if we ever see two witnesses that are men pop up somewhere, then it might be painful for the people of the world to listen to those two men who happen to be teaching the Torah and the name and the Torah. Well, one of them was represented as Eliyahu in a lot of people's ideas. He's going to send, in Malachi 4, it says, I will send Eliyahu, the prophet, just before the day of Yahuwah. And he's going to say something, but it's about his name, because his name, Eliyahu, means Yah is my Elohim, you know, or Elohim. And then the other prophet, you know, a lot of people wonder who that's going to be, you know. But Moshe is a good candidate. You know, we don't know. But what is Moshe all about? He's about the Torah, the teaching of the Ten Commandments. And this is what the world does not want to hear. We're torturing them with these instructions in love. Instructions in love? Nobody can obey that. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. You can love your neighbor as yourself, and you can love Yahuwah with your whole heart, mind, soul, being, and strength. So you got love and you got love, And that's sort of the message of Moshe, And then the other witness is talking about his name. They don't want to hear that either. But we're torturing them with it. We're showing it to them. Let me find a card over here. Look at this. This is really torturous to the other teaching authorities that don't use his name. In 2008, the name of Yahuwah was forbidden in liturgy. Whatever that is, it's something they made up. But there they are. Let me torture you with this for a while. This is this is the truth. Yod He Ua He. Yod He Ua Shinai. That's the same person, only this is him as our deliverer, Yahusha. And so we've got that going on, and we've got this going on. We've got the Word, and we've got the name. The Torah, and we've got the name. And that hurts a lot of people. I mean, if you're a witch or a warlock, and you're out there trying to not let your congregation know that stuff, too late. Isn't that simple, though?
Yeah.
I mean, why do you want to fight that? It's just the truth, Why do you want to worry about putting lilies over in the corner and a Christmas tree up and getting the eggs and rabbits out and talking about Christmas trees and Christmas and the Magi and putting up doing all this hard stuff when all you have to do is just focus on these? How can you listen to one of the prophets of Yahusha and not hear the truth of his name and his word? But yet people do. They walk in and they don't hear a thing about what he told us to do. They went there to learn. They went there to say, what is this book trying to tell me? Well, it's trying to tell you this. And it's trying to tell you this. And if you can get that figured out, then no one will ever be able to deceive you, and you will not be deluded. You will not have a psychosis. You won't be mentally disturbed. But we see a lot of people that are. We're trying to help them, But the truth is going to set you free. From what's it going to set you free from? It's going to set you free from the delusion, the strong delusion. You're not going to be walking around going, I'm in an imaginary world, and I do Christmas, and I do EASTER, and I do Sunday. This stuff is not real. Sunday is the first day of the work week. It always has been, and it always will be. But the delusion is that it's not. It's a day of rest. Because an emperor declared it to be, illegal for you to work on that day in honor of the sun. I mean, that's what the edict actually says. It was to honor the sun deity that they took that day off. It's called Sunday in the Roman thing, I don't know. I'm talking way too fast. But I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about teachings.
Yeah. Speaking of Musha, they have a new movie coming out this week. Hollywood's doing it again. Apparently the biggest thing since Cecil B. DeMille. It's called Exodus, GODs, and Kings. It's got Batman in it. It's got Christian Bale. He plays Musha. It's got Ben Kingsley and Sigourney Weaver. And I hope they do a better job than they did of the Noah.
Yeah.
That was pathetic. But apparently the River Nile goes red because of all the crocodiles eating everybody. And God talks to Moses through the burning bush, and he talks to him in the form of a child. It's all this elaborate imagery, apparently. So that'll be interesting. See what they've done again. But apparently the critics say that it ends really kind of on an anticlimax because they went to the mountain and got the commandments, and that really wasn't exciting as far as the movie was concerned. They thought they'd drawn it out. But I was reading it going, oh, I'm glad they did. I'm glad, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm glad they got to the commandments, you know. Whether they tell anybody what they are or not is another thing, but yeah. So that's happening this week. In movie news.
Well, speaking of Batman, what was it that Batman, they always said that motivated him? Gotham needs you.
Yeah.
Or something. Is that what he said?
Yeah, Gotham. My wife, Amy, she saw a thing on Facebook the other day that said, you should name your child Gotham, because in the middle of the night, all you have to do is roll over to your husband and go, Gotham needs you, and he'll be up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I respond to that, and I said something about you could try the Philistines are upon you. You know, yeah. That'll get a man out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah. Craziness.
Yeah.
Well, that's been amazing, brother. Really helpful for me. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Great. Yeah.
So you're getting some book printed straight away.
I'm getting it done. I've already ordered a small batch. And what do we have right over here? What is that?
Where would you like to be today, mate?
No idea.
Me neither.
I don't know. That's the funny thing. You're in Australia, and I'm in North America. We're kind of like on opposite sides. I'd like to get a globe in here and see what we look like. But, you know, when we film these, all you have is a green screen behind you, and that's what I have. And then afterwards, at some point, Yahusha gives you an idea of a picture to put us into a context, and it looks like we're right next to each other.
Yeah.
But we're not.
That was your idea. That was great. From episode 4, you suggested that. I had never thought of trying that. It's very good.
It's worked for years, hasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, we've been doing it.
Yeah. It's wonderful. Well, we'll catch up in a couple of weeks, mate.
All right. Well, you take care of the family. Keep it together.
Too. Yeah, I hope Phyllis as well.
When you feel sad, just say, I'm going to go help somebody. And then
good idea.
It's valuable. You don't feel valuable unless you're helping somebody.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see you later.
Yeah, love you, mate.
All right, love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.